All right, today, this lesson, what we're going to do is we're going to use the pencil tool, and we're going to talk about the pencil tool itself and how it works. What I'm really concerned with is making sure that you understand the pencil tool and the eraser, okay, with this tool. This is the path eraser tool. Now, as always, when we're working right here on top of this little rectangle, of course you know that this area will print and the area outside of this rectangle will not print. But when we're drawing anywhere on the artboard with a pencil, how do we erase lines or the path that we created? How do we erase those lines? A lot of people think that they can use the eraser. It's an obvious looking tool, but this tool here does not actually work like a traditional eraser or an eraser you might find in Photoshop. This is this eraser looks exactly like the eraser tool in Photoshop. So a lot of people begin working in Illustrator and they begin using this eraser tool, and it really doesn't work the same and it doesn't act the same, and then students will start to wonder, well, why isn't this tool working? What am I doing wrong? Well, the student, you're not doing anything wrong. It's simply you're not supposed to use this tool to erase paths and sections of artwork in Illustrator. So what we're going to do is make sure that we use the pencil tool and the path eraser. This is really a path tool. All these tools are connected to each other here in the toolbox, such as the pen tool, the line segment tool, the paintbrush, and the pencil tool. They all create paths, okay? Like walking down a path, that's what we're trying to say here. It's a path tool. So how do we create a line and then erase it? So if I select this tool with my cursor, with my mouse, and I hold for a second, I get a little fly out tool, a little fly out menu, and I can see these three pencil tools here. Okay, I've got a pencil tool, a smooth tool, and an eraser tool. And so what I'm going to do is simply begin using the pencil tool and just creating a line. And you'll notice when I select this tool, I get a bunch of tools across the top of my screen here, and I've got a 1-point thickness or a 1-point weight on the stroke. That's the outline. It's connected to my stroke color here, my stroke tool, down here on the bottom of my toolbar. So let's go ahead and thicken that up just a little bit. I'm going to select this little arrow here. I can also select predetermined sizes and weights for this tool, or I can type in my own number, okay, or I can scroll to what I want. So if I wanted to type in 1.5, there you go, I'd have a 1.5 weight, or I could type in, 9.75. There you go. And so then I would start drawing, and as I draw, I can see this little outline being created, and then there's my line. That's the thickness of my line. If I want to change that, I simply come back to my stroke tool here for the weight or the thickness of this line, and I can fix that. Okay. Now I've created this path, and you'll notice as I've created it, once I was done, and you saw that little dotted blue line being created as I was dragging my pencil around the artboard here, that it has now, when I finished it, added the line and the thickness I wanted, but it also added these anchor points along the way, and these are predetermined by the amount of curve I've created and by the computer where it's going to place these anchor points, because it's we've got a default setting that decides how far apart these lines are going to be, or these anchor points are going to be created when I make curves. And you can see that they're farther apart here where it's a little straighter, not such a it's a very gentle curve, so they're not as close together. When they're a little bit of a tighter curve, then it places them closer together, so as it gets wider or longer curve, it separates them. So the computer has to figure out, where it wants to put these anchor points. Now you can delete them, just like we did before with the delete anchor point tool, or you can add more if you need more. But it has put them in there for you so that you don't have to do all that extra work. Okay, now let's talk about our eraser tool. And before we get started on that, really quick, I can select right here on the end of this line with the pencil tool and add on. And you see what happened there? I just created a new line. and I didn't actually add on to the previous one because I had missed the anchor point. So good mistake there. So if I miss the anchor point, you can miss what you did there, and then you can reconnect it. But notice it hasn't activated, so I know it's not connected. Why isn't it connected? Because I didn't start on this side. So if I start a line and end a line, I have to go back, place it here right over the anchor point I want to add to, and then it will add on. If I draw another line over here, well, I can add on here, or I can start here and add on, but it's not going to let me add on if I don't connect them right over the top. See how it's not connected there? All right? So now what I want to do is have you use the eraser tool. So what we're going to do is take our eraser tool, and we are going to place the eraser tool right over the top and drag right along the edge. And notice if I go out a little bit and miss, it's still going to erase. Oh, didn't erase. Now why didn't it erase? Well, I have to select the line that I want the computer to erase. So I have to tell the computer what area I want to erase. And if I don't tell the computer what area I want to erase, then as you just saw, it's not going to let me erase. So I've got to select it, identify it, so the computer knows what I want to work on. Now I can take my eraser tool. So that was a good mistake. And now I can go ahead and drag along this back end here, or this area. Okay, and notice I was dragging over the area that wasn't selected and it didn't erase. So I could try to erase this all day. It's not going to erase until I take my selection cursor, select this line, activate it, and now the computer knows I want to do something to this line, no matter what it is. It could be thickening it, changing the color, whatever it is, and now I can erase along that line. So if I come up here, notice it's not activated, it's not going to erase. Okay? Now, let's go ahead and we're going to create a new line, and what I'm going to do is select this area here, get rid of that. I deleted that off, and I'm going to create a new line here, and notice it's got a nice sharp angle. And so I'm going to take my pencil tool with the smooth tool, and I'm going to drag along this line. And you'll notice that it slowly starts to bend that line. So I've got to work on that a little bit, and eventually it starts to curve it. I can become much more active with it or along it, and we'll see what happens here. So you can see it's changing slightly. So let me go back and show you that one more time, because the first time you drag on it, it's not going to change much. So let's go ahead and take a look here. And I'm going to select that. Let's delete it. Let's make a rectangle, or maybe even a star. And we'll create a star right here in the center. Now it's active. Let's go ahead and use the smooth tool. And there you go. It's going to start to change as I drag over this. And you'll see the different ways that I'm dragging across it are going to change it. So it's a smooth tool. It smooths out these lines. Okay, and you just have to practice with this a little bit. All right. Well, I hope this lesson has helped you. Good luck with this. Try it out at your own convenience. Come see me if you need any help.